Well, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, judging by the first image here, you can tell this is going to be a very good ad. It doesn't even need an introduction. I'm just going to be reacting to, it's apparently the cringiest political ad ever created. It was created by the Kamala Harris campaign. They are floundering right now with men, specifically men in the Midwest, the Rust Belt. Tim Walz is out there trying to do like photo ops of him like shooting, and he's out at a college or a high school football game last night, and it is really, really bad. And so this is their pandering here. This is their commercial. These are manly men. You're looking at this. Yeah, this is, we'll see what this commercial is. I'll react to it here. But apparently this is just, I mean, I have seen this once. I saw it last night, but this is my official reaction.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
And I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women. They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Look at how he's
Because
sitting.
I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse. I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually. Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful. That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them
Look at
win.
the sign. All right, so that was the man up video. They're basically saying I'm man enough to simp for a woman. It's like I'm man enough to vote for a woman for, I mean, what is it? It doesn't even make it. So this is their ad. It's terrible. I mean, it's just, I don't think it's going to change a single person's mind. And yes, you've got this dude. There it is right there. I went to it. I mean, what a great, they're like trying to tell him how to sit properly, but it just comes off very feminine. Like that's not a masculine position for, I don't want to overanalyze this, but it's just like, I mean, I guess it's a typical Harris ad, but this is one of the worst ones. I mean, that when you think of masculinity, when you think of a man's man, you think of this dude. There's this dude with his horse, like playing around with his horse. You think of masculinity, man. That is very masculine right there with the cowboy. He's got a cowboy hat. He's got a cowboy hat. But yeah, so that was the big ad that I wanted to react to there. And then we also do have this potentially Kamala Harris entering the doom loop. If you've been wondering why is Harris all of a sudden doing interviews, it's because their internals started showing that she was in trouble. And so, yeah, no, I agree. I think the way that they're acting right now is it's a telltale sign that she's in serious trouble in terms of the election. If I were to give like an updated map on what personally I think every single swing state, you could argue, the margins on these swing states, but I think every one of these swing states would be going to Trump one way or another at this point, and you'd have Trump at 312. Here's the weird thing with the polls recently. It's like with Nevada, we've seen Trump make up ground because there was an argument where you could say, well, maybe Harris will take Nevada. She still might, but they're just so close everywhere. I mean, now people are wondering, could Trump potentially take Virginia? And if Trump takes Virginia, I mean, you could very easily lose Nevada. You could lose Michigan. You could lose Wisconsin. You could lose Pennsylvania, and you still win with Virginia. It's how crazy Virginia is. Or let's say you take Pennsylvania because we think that's probably going to happen. You could lose Georgia. As long as you take North Carolina, you lose North Carolina, but you take Michigan and Wisconsin. You see how many paths there are for Trump. That's with Virginia, though. That would be Trump winning Virginia. But in general, I think the common thought is that Harris still probably takes Virginia. I just don't see at this point how you could predict either Georgia or North Carolina for Harris. Nevada would be the one, okay, I guess, but that's still Trump at 306. It's either 306 or 312. I've also seen people have Trump at like 287. What is that? 291 with Michigan. Yeah, I've seen some people say, well, Michigan will go left, the other two will go right, the Rust Belts, although I don't know. I mean, there's been some positive polls out of Michigan for Trump. This is probably what I would think. And I mean, it's very obvious that the Harris campaign is doing some unorthodox things that they probably didn't want to do. Like, I mean, she's going out doing everything. You've got Walls going on Fox News. She's doing all these interviews and stuff. Their internal polls, everything that we've heard, her internal polls have not been good. And obviously the polls this cycle have been completely different. And it's very clear there's this huge emphasis from their team to try and get men, which is just so funny because they've said men are horrible. They're the devil. And now it's like, oh, we kind of need them to win. And so, you know, it's black men who are now supporting Trump at 30% clip. It's like 30% support for Trump among black men, almost 40% in some polls, which is just terrible. I mean, look at Obama coming out, calling out black men, and it's just men in general. And now you see, like, you know, you'll see CNN, they start having conversation about men. Well, no shit, men are going to be conservative. Men are already conservative. That's just a byproduct of society in general. But you've got the left, which hates men. You think that would alienate it even more, and now there'd be even more men that are conservative. I would think men would lean conservative at like a 15 to 20% rate. It's not that high, but it should be that high. But either way, in looking at this Texas obviously is going to be, a solid, I don't know about solid, but like a 6.5, 7 point victory for Trump. But either way, it's either going to be 306 or 312. And, you know, that commercial, I mean, that's just, obviously it's extremely cringy, but it's pretty much, this is what we expect from their campaign. I mean, it's just like, this is a losing campaign type commercial. It really is. There's just no relation. It doesn't resonate with anyone. It's just like, what are we even doing? It's like pandering, but it's like the worst level of pandering because it's so bad. Like, you can pander and we all understand it. And like Trump's he's doing a town hall with only women because he wants the female vote. I understand it. But like this stuff where it's just like, it's just so cringy, man. It's just so bad. And I mean, I don't even think liberals can look at this and be like, oh yeah, this isn't, but men are really going to band behind this. And this is just not the way to do it. But they spend millions of dollars on this ad. They release it everywhere. And I guess this is all that they can come up with. This is just something funny. I'm just going to play this, like, watch Obama.
Don't get it twisted, fellas. This is what a real man looks like. This is the kind of strapping masculinity that Democrats idolize. Michelle, I'll be right up. I'm almost finished my set. The kind of guy that loves vanilla soft serve.
But the weird thing is, people went at Jesse Waters for this. They were like, oh my God, I think he was joking. But people in the comments, they were like, what is he talking about? These exercises by Obama.
Democrats idolize. Michelle, I'll be right up. I'm almost finished my set.
He's like working out in a basement, the White House basement or something. I just thought that was funny. But, oh yeah, this is another thing with that New York Times poll. Trump leads Pennsylvania. This is New York Times. Trump leads Pennsylvania in our Harris +4 poll that had a Biden +8 sample if weighted for the 2020 vote. Huh. I mean, the way New York Times does their polling is very weird. I don't know if these are really good leads if this is weighed properly. You know, you could argue, well, the weighing is bias, but still, I think the way they did that poll, you can't have a Biden +8 sample. The only argument is, well, it was a Biden +8 sample because some of those Biden voters are now independent, or they were independent and they went for Biden in 2020, but now they're going for Trump. It's just, that should not be the sample in Pennsylvania. You should not have a Biden +8 sample. There's no way. Really, it should be a Biden +1 sample. And even that might not even, because Biden won the state by 1 point, but even that might not even be the correct way to do it, because it was really weird how they did that. But, you know, they had Pennsylvania, Harris +4. They've been real bad in Pennsylvania. They got it all. They were wrong by like 4 or 5 points in 2020. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.